Welcome to Kent County Levy Court business meeting. The meeting is being held at Kent County Administrative Complex at 555 Bay Road, Dover, Delaware. Levy Court Chamber Room 203. Today is Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. Before I officially open the business meeting, I'll turn it over to the Acting County Administrator to explain how those that want to join us via WebEx or phone can do so. Alan?
Thank you, Mr. President. As the President said, this meeting is live and it is available via WebEx on the internet. Participants can either join us by computer or by telephone throughout the course of the meeting. There will be opportunities for public comment from those attending in person or online at the designated times. For those joining us by phone, press star 3, which will raise your electronic hand so our operator can identify you and bring you into the meeting. Pressing star 6 will mute and unmute your line. If you're on a computer, at the bottom of the screen, you will see the hand and microphone icons, and we ask that you use those at the appropriate time. We also ask that all comments from our guests be preceded by stating your name and address for the record. Any comments taken during our public hearing testimony will be sworn by our attorney. This meeting is being recorded and will follow all rules of procedure adopted by Levy Court, as well as Mason's Rules of Order. Mr. President, back to you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll call the meeting to order. I'll ask Commissioner Maston for the, Commissioner Angel for the invocation, Commissioner Maston for the Pledge of Allegiance, and a moment of silence for our troops and first responders, Commissioner Sweeney. All rise, please.
Heavenly Father, as we gather tonight, we ask you to bless us, guide us, give us wisdom and respect in doing our public duty. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence to honor our military, law enforcement, firefighters, paramedics, first responders, and medical staff who have lost their lives in the line of duty protecting our lives or our way of life. Please keep the nearly 50,000 killed and more missing in your thoughts and prayers as Turkey continues to dig out from devastating earthquakes over the last couple of weeks. Please remember these individuals who died in the line of duty and keep their families in your thoughts and prayers tonight as they deal with the loss of their loved ones. Police Officer Peter Jerving from the Milwaukee Police Department, Wisconsin. Police Officer Charles Ehring from the Pembroke Pines Police Department, Florida. Police Officer Julian Becerra from the Fountain Police Department in Colorado. Police Officer James Muehlbauer from the Kansas City Police Department in Missouri. Sergeant Christopher Fitzgerald from the Temple University Police Department in Pennsylvania. Police Officer Jeffrey Redd from the Memphis Police Department in Tennessee. Detention Officer Kenneth Fowler from the Pontotoc County Sheriff's Office in Oklahoma. K-9 Graffett from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office in Colorado. K-9 Champ from the Kansas City Police Department in Missouri. K-9 Duke from the San Joaquin County Sheriff's Office in California. Fire Department Chief Todd Yandre from the Lake Mills Fire Department in Wisconsin. Lieutenant Ethan Quilleen from the Paw Paw Volunteer Fire Department in Michigan, and firefighter Ricky Hill from the Flint Fire Department in Michigan. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Sweeney. Can we have roll call, please, to determine quorum?
Mr. Angel?
Present.
Mr. Hall?
Present.
Mr. Hertz?
Present.
Mrs. Maston?
Present.
Mr. Scott?
Present.
Mr. Sweeney?
Here.
Mr. Pepper?
Here.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 present.
Thank you. We do have a quorum for this evening. Need a motion on the adoption of the agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda, Mr. President.
Second. Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Maston. Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. We need approval of Levy Court special business meeting minutes of Tuesday, February 7th, 2023.
Move to approve minutes of February 7th.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions on the motion? If not, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. The special business meetings of Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 have been approved. This evening we have 6 presentations. The first one is Delaware Electric Co-op Capital Credit Check Presentation to the Levy Court. And who's here? Mr. Yingling, welcome to Levy Court.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Kevin Yingling. I'm Vice President of Member Services with Delaware Electric Cooperative, and I couldn't be prouder to be here to present Kent County with their 2022 capital credit check. As many of you know, our co-op is a nonprofit utility owned by those we serve, including Kent County. You actually are our largest member to date. And as a member, you're not just receiving power from the co-op, you own us. You own the poles, the bucket trucks, and even our building. Because we're an electric cooperative, we are focused on providing the best possible service to Delawareans, not only making profits, and this means our margins go back to you. The money we're returning tonight is the return on capital credits from 2022. The total amount for Kent County is $45,003.71. That represents your share of our margins from 2010 from DEC, as well as 1991 and 1992 from Old Dominion Electric Cooperative, which is our power supply company. Thank you. And I have a large check if you'd like.
We certainly
get-
will. I've got the small one. You
smaller
all
one
can have
has
the
already
large
been
one.
deposited,
All
I
right?
think.
Yeah. This one folds and deposits easier. All of us, all Levy Court Commissioners, to come down front and greet you. Hey, buddy.
How are you, sir?
Well, thank you very much. The first thing I noticed is this isn't as much as we got last year. And the second thing is, I'm going to keep the small check because on the big check you shorted us $3.71.
It looks better for a picture.
Oh, okay. But yeah, we're certainly appreciative of Delaware Electric Co-op. I attend several of the quarterly meetings every year at the Electric Co-op. And in my estimation, it's one of the best run companies in not only Kent County, but the state. They have buy-in from their directors all the way down to the employees. And it's very well run, and we're proud to be part of that. So thank you very much. And anyone else like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you very much. I wish I had Delaware Co-op. Electric goes up and down, we know, but they don't give rebates like you do, and we do appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. And I live in the town of Smyrna, so I would really appreciate Delaware Electric. Thanks again.
I do have Delaware Electric, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Tell Mr. Book we expect to see him here next time. And it is one of the best run companies in Delaware because it's owned by the best people.
I do have Delaware Co-op, and I always have great service, except for the last 2 months. My bill's through the roof.
Thanks very much. We appreciate it.
You're not getting any of this.
It's a great company and also a great employer. I'm very fortunate to have a nephew who works for Delaware Electric Co-op. So be sure to tell Duane Street I said hello from his uncle.
All right, now we can get a picture. Got us all in here, Kelly? All right. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. Yep. Let me over here, Jody. So I can get this stuff. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Resolution 3975, making March 2023 Brain Injury Awareness Month. And Commissioner Sweeney is going to read that into the official record, and then we'll have to vote on it.
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 3975 declaring the month of March 2023 Brain Injury Awareness Month in Kent County, Delaware. Whereas the mission of the Brain Injury Association of Delaware in support of people who have been impacted by brain injury is to create a better future for all through brain injury prevention, education, advocacy, and support. And whereas research shows that approximately 84% of brain injury survivors do not get the follow-up care they need after they leave the hospital. And whereas in the state of Delaware, there are approximately 65,000 persons living with traumatic brain injury, and only 14% of Delawareans receive a follow-up visit after being treated for TBI in an emergency department or critical care facility. And whereas the Brain Injury Association of Delaware connects brain injury survivors and caregivers to resources in the community and offers monthly support groups to meet specific needs of each survivor. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kent County Levy Court does hereby proclaim the month of March 2023 as Brain Injury Awareness Month in Kent County and urge our fellow citizens to support the efforts of the Brain Injury Association of Delaware to increase awareness. Be it further resolved that this resolution be and hereby is incorporated into the official minutes of the February 28, 2023 meeting of the Kent County Levy Court, signed by President Terry Pepper, Vice President Alan F. Angel, and the remainder of the Levy Court Commissioners. Joining us tonight is Cheryl Doucette, so while we're voting, if she'd like to come down with the rest of her visitors, I appreciate it.
Okay, excuse me. This is a resolution, 3975, so we do have to vote on this. So, Mr. Tanaka, can we have roll call for the vote, please? We do need a motion, don't we?
Move to approve Resolution 3975.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Angel. And now can we have roll call?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3975 has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. And we'll ask the folks to please come forward. And who's your spokesman?
That would be Terry, our president. I'm Dr. Harrison Goldman.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm Dr. Terry Harrison Goldman. I'm the president of the Brain Injury Association of Delaware.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Lancaster, the vice president of BIAD, as well as a survivor of 26 years.
Hello, my name is Cheryl Doucette, and I'm the executive director of the Brain Injury Association of Delaware. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Dee Rivard. I'm on the corporate board of directors and the executive committee, and I'm also the state of Delaware's traumatic brain injury administrator.
Good evening. I'm Ted Werner. I'm the secretary on the executive board for Brain Injury Association of Delaware. I'm also the CEO for PAM Health in Dover.
Hi, Andrew Braun. I am the past president of the executive board of the Brain Injury Association of Delaware.
And can someone give us a little talk about what the accomplishments are?
I don't have a check, but I do have notes. So again, I'm Terry, and I am the president of BIAD. I'm also a director of neuropsychology at the Nemours Children's Health. My areas of focus are pediatric traumatic brain injury and pediatric cancer care. BIAD is the state's leading nonprofit organization supporting people who have been impacted by brain injury. Through brain injury prevention, advocacy, education, and resources, we make a significant difference in our community. Our mission is to create a better future for all through brain injury prevention, education, and advocacy, as well as support. We envision a Delaware where everyone recognizes and fully understands brain injuries and where all people impacted by brain injuries are encouraged to realize their full potential and their value to our community. We connect brain injury survivors and caregivers to resources in the community. We offer, as mentioned, 5 monthly support groups to meet specific needs for our survivors and caregivers, and 3 of these support groups are held in person and 2 are held virtually, so we meet everybody's needs. As a clinician, I volunteer for BIAD because I know the importance and I have seen firsthand the impact of advocacy and education for all children, adults that have survived brain injury, and their caregivers and families. You want to talk a little bit as a survivor?
I was going to say, again, my name is Stephanie Lancaster. I'm a survivor. I had my injury occur 26 years ago. I know firsthand that brain injury survivors have a difficult time navigating the medical system to access the resources they need. Research shows that approximately 84% of brain injury survivors do not get the follow-up care they need when they leave the hospital. National statistics show that sometimes someone who sustains a TBI, someone sustains a TBI every 9 seconds. In the state of Delaware, there are approximately 65,000 persons living with a traumatic brain injury. As a survivor, I always felt scared and ashamed to share that I had a brain injury, afraid of what people would think. Until about 4 years ago, I never spoke of my brain injury beyond my family and friends, scared of the stigma that people would think. We as survivors struggle from time to time with our memories, but we persevere and find ways to overcome those hard days. So stay strong, push through, and continue to advocate.
And go blue.
Why don't you all come on up in front here, and we'll get a picture. And we get a picture of you in the middle here, and Stephanie, you're on one side. You take all of that like you're giving it to you. And Kelly, get a picture. Kelly, can you just hold it? Sure. Thank you very much.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So in 2013, my daughter, who was a senior at Polytech at the time, did her senior thesis on brain injuries as it pertained to students and specifically football. So it was important then, and it's just as important now, and I want to thank you guys for your advocacy for connecting people with TBI to the resources that they need.
Thank you. Thank you very much, folks, for coming in tonight, sharing this with us. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Resolution 3976, Retirement of Marty Hayes. And this is a resolution, so Lori, if we can have you read this. Well, first off, we need a motion, don't we? So, need a motion for the retirement of Marty Hayes. But yeah, let's get it read into the record first, and then we'll do the motion, all right?
Whereas the retirement of Marty A. Hayes an employee of Kent County, State of Delaware, from her duties as Licensed Specialist 2, Kent County Clerk of the Peace Office, presents a suitable opportunity for expressing the esteem in which we hold Marty A. Hayes as a good and faithful public servant. Therefore, be it resolved that the County of Kent express its warmest appreciation and thanks to Marty A. Hayes for the able and loyal manner in which she performed her public duties. Be it further resolved that this resolution be her evidence of a right to the pension provided by the Kent County Employees Retirement Program, and that this resolution be and hereby is incorporated into the official minutes of the February 28th, 2023 meeting of the Kent County Levy Court.
Thank you. We need a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, and I think it was a tie, but second by Commissioner Angel, to approve Resolution 3976. And got some information that was compiled here by the Human Resources Department. And it says, Ms. Hayes' retirement, she started in October 8th, 1982. She has 40 years and 4 months and 21 days. She's retiring as a licensed specialist 2 in the Office of the Clerk of the Peace. The longest serving former employee was Hazel Short, Tax Clerk 2, and she served in the Office of Receiver of Taxes, and she had 45 years and 7 months. And she was hired in December 1st of 1952. So Marty is now the second longest serving employee. An interesting fact here, interestingly, I don't know if this is good or bad, to be honest with you. It says Terry Pepper was president of Levy Court when both of the 2 longest serving employees retired. So I don't know what that says, but anyhow, Marty, we're very pleased to be able to recognize you tonight and wish you the best in your retirement. Marty, come forward. Where are you? There you are. Come forward. First off, congratulations on this retirement. Did we vote yet? Mm-hmm. We did? Not yet. No, I don't think we did. So we better. we're dragging this out long enough. So yeah, we got the motion. We got a second. So I guess we have to vote on it, though, don't we? They make this official. So with that being said, let's vote. And
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston? Yes. Mr. Scott? Yes. Mr. Sweeney?
Just because I made the motion doesn't mean I have to agree to it.
oh, yeah, so she would that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes. So we really want to congratulate you. I mean, you've been part of the Levy Court family a long time. You've seen a lot of people come, a lot of people go, a lot of elected officials come, a lot of elected officials go. And come back, yeah, well, yeah. Some of us do that once in a while. But congratulations and best of luck. And do the best you can to fulfill all your bucket list items and enjoy your life. You deserve it. You deserve it. Let me pass this on. I don't want to take up all the time.
Wow. I hope you left us words of encouragement for things that we can do better also. There's a lot of history here that's going out the door. And I'm a big history buff on knowing things. So if there's anything that you'd like to pass on, please let us know, because I'd love that to hear those stories. Congratulations on your retirement.
As I told you yesterday, thank you so much for your years of service with the county, and I wish you nothing but the very best as you retire. Stay true to your bucket list. It's important.
Miss Marty, it's been a pleasure. So I know we had a couple of conversations, some were in depth, but be good to yourself. Go do all the things and enjoy all the things you've always wanted to do. Thank you.
Marty, I'm going to tell you something that everybody else won't tell you. Don't create a bucket list. Do whatever you want, whenever you want. That's what retirement's all about. And I'm telling you from experience, it's glorious. So live your life. You've earned it. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for everything you've done for the county, and enjoy every single day.
Thank you for your service. I wish I was going with you.
So Marty, you're now a member of the 40-year club. Best wishes and keep traveling.
Is Brenda here? Oh, there you are. You're taking pictures. Come on, Brenda, you need to say some words.
Marty, all I can say is wow. It's an honor and a privilege for 40 years with the county. That's a big deal. And on behalf of the county and our office staff, I just want to thank you for your loyalty, your dedication to the office. You have been a valued employee, and I want you to never forget that. And today, many of you came to visit the office and showed an outpouring of love. You were loved by many. You made many memories with all of them. And I'm sure you have plenty of stories and memories to share along your way. Just wish you nothing but the best in your future. Hope you stay in touch with us. Hope you and Jeff travel the world, spend time with your mom while we still have our mothers. And just God bless you and wish you the best of luck. Just be true to yourself and just have fun. Enjoy the time with your family and friends. All right? We love you and we appreciate you. You're welcome.
Marty, you want to sum up 40 years?
Hey, I will say what you've already covered. Edie Hempel hired me over 40 years ago. And like she would say, I've seen it all. Thank you.
I'm sure you have.
So if we can get a picture of you with your official resolution here. And just one other little small token of county lapel pin, and then you got a big token behind it.
Gosh, I have flowers, candy,
A watch. When's your last day? Today?
Yeah.
Got anybody here with
And
you?
I still have work on my desk. I'm going
to finish your
go
work?
downstairs and finish up. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. I know that's the clock I picked out. So. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to load it and make room in the trunk.
Yeah. And this is a retirement clock. Anyone who has 25 or more years service to the county is eligible to receive a retirement clock from the county. So thank you very much, Marty. We really do appreciate you. We're going to miss you.
The sheriffs are here. They came.
Yeah.
Are we looking for a macho man?
Yeah, Norman.
I picked them.
Sheriff, you want to do me a favor? Want to do Marty a favor?
Thank you. Okay, now we have a very special tribute to Mr. William A. Yonker. So, Lori, can we read this into the record?
On this, the 28th day of February 2023, Kent County Levy Court does hereby recognize William A. Yonker for his 26 years of service as a member of the Kent County Regional Sewer Advisory Board. Due to his residence being near the Kent County Regional Resource Recovery Facility, William A. Yonker took an active interest in the operations and management of the facility, representing the residents of the 4th District. William A. Yonker was nominated by Commissioner Harold J. Peterman and was unanimously appointed to the Sewer Advisory Board on January 28, 1997, and has served as chair and vice chair. He was also a member of the board's Budget Committee. During his 26 years of service, William A. Yonker provided valuable input by assisting in the development of new ideas, evaluating existing programs, and ensuring that the interests of Kent County of residents were represented. He has contributed generously of his time and energy, never missing a meeting. The Kent County Regional Sewer Advisory Board, the Public Works Department, Engineering Division, and the citizens of Kent County have benefited greatly from William A. Yonker's significant contributions. Today, Kent County Levy Court is pleased to recognize William A. Yonker for his professional service. We extend our thanks and sincere well wishes to him on all his future endeavors.
Mr. Yonker. And Faye, why don't you come up too? Yeah. Come on. Yeah, she needs to be in this picture too. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Bill, you have a very, very, very long history with a wastewater treatment plant. You've been there through the bad times and the better times. Living right across the road from the facility, you've actually played a very vital part to that facility, because you see it on a daily basis and you know what goes on there, and you know when it's bad, you know when it's good. And between you and Faye, we really appreciate your contributions to the county. I remember several years ago when it wasn't the facility that it is now, we had regular phone contact and and quite often about the problems there. But we really do appreciate you and all the time and effort that you put into the Sewer Advisory Board. It takes folks like you to make a difference in Kent County, and you certainly have made that difference. And you're surely going to be missed off of the Sewer Advisory Board. So let me pass this on.
Well, sir, I don't remember meeting you on the board, but I remember seeing you get to the board. But I do want to ask one question. When everybody knew where the sewer plant was located, which I know your house was there, what year was that it started to dissipate so nobody knows it's there anymore?
Not 2000.
Okay. I didn't come on to 2005. So that's a little piece of history. I like history, so I like to have that background. So.
We were there before the plant was ever built. Right.
Okay. So you were in the stench of it, literally. But thank you for your service, and I'm glad we have what we have now, and due to your leadership there and being part of that board, it's nobody knows it's even there anymore. And we have one of the greatest athletic teams that come all across the United States, right next door to at the DE Turf. So, but thank you very much, sir.
Congratulations, sir, and thank you so much for your service to the county. It's not often you get someone who's willing to serve so long and do so well and be appreciated, but thanks again.
Mr. Yonkers, thank you. I know when we spoke at the beginning of the year, and I said, Mr. Yonkers, you're going to stay on. And he said, well, no, I think I'm going to retire. And I said, what do you mean? So, but I truly respect and understand your positioning with it as well. You've given many years of loyal and dedicated service, and we really appreciate everything that you've done. So thank you, and enjoy yourself, sir.
Mr. Yonkers, thank you for everything you've done for the county. Mrs. Yonkers, thank you for letting us have him for the last 26 years. Every month they meet, and you guys, you and the rest of you have really guided us, and I appreciate it, and thank you very much.
It's such an important job, such an important resource to everyone in the county, so your contribution over 26 years has really meant a lot. I appreciate that.
Thank you very much for your 26 years of service, sir.
Thank you, and I hope your story inspires other citizens to become involved in the county and maybe serve as long as you did. And really, we appreciate the fact that you have been one of the best neighbors for our treatment facility and we have in the entire neighborhood. Thank you so much.
And Diana, would you like to say a couple words? I think it'd be fitting. I asked Diana Gold to come forward. She's the county engineer, and I'm sure that she would like to say a couple words.
Thank you, Mr. Yonker. I really do want to thank you for your service. It's been a pleasure working with you, and we're going to miss you on Wednesday nights, on the first Wednesday of every month. So with that, I thank you. Is it now his turn to speak?
It is. Thank you, and it's been a pleasure to serve this time. 26 years, it doesn't seem like it's that long, but I guess we've gone through a lot, and I think we've done a pretty good job for the last few years. Done a lot for the county. The county's growing, and we keep adding on. We find things wrong, we fix them, and I think we're trying to make everybody happy. Thank you.
All right, now we need a picture. So Faye, you need to be in this picture too. So Bill, you come up here and stand next to me. Faye, you come around on the other side. And this has truly been a team effort between the two of you and the county. So Diana, you get in here too.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now another special presentation. This will be for Employee of the Month for March of 2023. The Employee of the Month for March 2023 is Lisa Rodriguez. And Lori, can we have that read into the official record, please?
Kent County Department heads have selected Lisa M.L. Rodriguez from the Department of Planning Services as the March 2023 Employee of the Month. Lisa, an Office Support Specialist 2 in the Housing and Community Development Section, or CDBG, originally started working for Kent County on March 3rd, 2021. She left briefly and returned to Kent County in July 2022. Before starting with the county, she worked as an executive assistant for Delaware Standard Bread Owners Association and possesses a wealth of knowledge and expertise that has facilitated her role with the county. Her primary duties as an office support specialist include administering the application aspect of the grant programs provided to Kent County residents, assisting with preparing the annual state report and audit process, and managing customer and vendor inquiries of project statuses and payments. Director of Planning Services Sarah Kiefer noted Lisa's unrivaled organization skills have been instrumental in maintaining multi-year grant records and files. Her proficient knowledge of the programs offered has allowed her to simplify the CDBG application process for constituents while directing them to assistance better aligned with their needs. Lisa's contributions to superb customer service have enabled grant obligations to be met efficiently, ensuring the best possible service to the citizens of Kent County. Congratulations, Lisa, on a job well done. And she resides in Commissioners Hertz and Pepper's district. The tribute reads, Kent County Levy Court, March 2023, Employee of the Month, Lisa M.L. Rodriguez. On this, the 28th day of February 2023, the Levy Court of Kent County, State of Delaware, does hereby recognize Lisa M.L. Rodriguez, Office Support Specialist 2, Department of Planning, CDBG section, for her exceptional initiative, dedication, and conscientiousness in the delivery of services to the citizenry of the county.
Thank you. Lisa, I want to come on down. And Ms. Kiefer, you want to come down too? We'll have our Director of Planning come down. Lisa, congratulations. You know, we realize what kind of work you put in, and to be recognized for that, I know means a lot to you. It means a lot to all the employees. So congratulations, and for those of you that don't know, this puts her in the running for the Employee of the Year, which she'll get a special bonus at the end of the year should she be selected for the Employee of the Year. So congratulations and best of luck.
Well, everybody waits to the end of the year, but all I can say is everybody that comes up for this and it's put in by their supervisors is well worth it. And because you make us look good, thank you very much on behalf of our constituents too. But thank you.
Congratulations, Lisa, on your award. I'm sure you've earned it, and let's look forward to seeing you in December.
Lisa, congratulations, and thank you for all the hard work that you put forth.
We are so lucky to have been able to bring Lisa back. You've played an instrumental role in helping us streamline all of the processes, and truly an instrumental role in making sure we got the grant submitted early this year. With our staffing challenges, having a team with Lisa on it is a huge benefit to us. So thank you and congratulations.
Lisa, congratulations. Initiative and organizations. Those two skills are going to get you into any job, and we're glad you're here at Kent County using them. Thank you.
Great employee and a great department. Thanks so much for all you do.
Thank you for all you do, and thank you for representing the 6th District well.
Lisa, congratulations on this honor, and I know that Sarah and Chris and Rod and Kane all really appreciate what you've done for the office. It's been very important, and we're very fortunate that we were able to bring you back.
Okay, Lisa, it's all right down to get the picture taken. So come on over. Lisa, your turn.
All right, I just wanted to say thank you for this recognition. It is my pleasure to serve Kent County, especially those that are in need.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. For about the last 30 minutes, we've been recognizing special people in the community and employees for Kent County. I know it's getting into the meeting time, but I won't apologize for it because all these folks play a large part in the operation of the county and taking care of things outside the county that a lot of us don't even think about. So thank you folks for enduring what we've been through for the past half hour. I'm sure several of you learned quite a bit. We have one more presentation. It's a special presentation. And this is a presentation for the close of Black History Month for 2023. At the beginning of the month, we recognized Black History Month and invited members of the community that we've recognized over the past several years to come in for a formal recognition. As we close Black History Month, we've invited none other than the Honorable Donald Blakey, former Levy Court Commissioner of the 5th Levy Court District. While in office, the Delaware State News quoted that Commissioner Blakey lives in his whole community. He was the first African American elected to the seven-member Levy Court and served from 1988 until 2006. In 1991, 95, and 2001, Commissioner Blakey served as Levy Court President. In November 2006, he was elected to the House of Representatives, where he remained until 2014. Commissioner Blakey is a man of many firsts, and we'd like to ask him to please come forward and say a few words. Don and Dolores, both of you come up. Now, I want you to just stand right there where you can have a good microphone to talk out of. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
When I cough, that means you gotta stop.
You think he has a problem stopping once he gets started?
President Pepper and Levy Court commissioners and other dignitaries and audience, Dolores and I are very, very pleased to be recognized. I'm adding her because she was the one that urged me to run in the first place. She had a stick and she just put me along the way. And yeah. The 18 years that I spent with the Levy Court were wonderful years. I made a lot of friends. We were on opposite sides of the political spectrum, but that didn't mean that we didn't care for each other. And I'll give you for instance, about caring. We were on a commissioner trip, a governmental trip to Florida, and Dolores had her pocketbook stolen from her by some lady that was able to get it, and we were stranded. And the commissioners who were with us, both sides of the aisle, gave us comfort, food, money to keep going until my daughter from another area in Florida was able to get there. That was the kind of camaraderie we had. We had our arguments, we had our discussions, but we had one objective, and that was to make this county better. And I think we did that. We built this building. And Mr. Peterman, the late Commissioner Peterman, created a wonderful resource now that we have as the wastewater treatment plant. He and I and Dolores went to Florida and put up with the alligators and the other animals down there trying to find out how to do this properly, and he figured it out. And as the Levy Court president at that time, we supported him completely, and as we do today.
3973. At this time, I open the public hearing, and I'll ask anyone who's in the audience that would like to come forward and testify in favor of Resolution 3973 to please come forward at this time. Anyone in favor of Resolution 3973, Parker's Run Stormwater Maintenance District, please come forward. Sir, if you can Please give us your name and your address, and then be either sworn or affirmed by our attorney down there.
My name is David Malone. I live in 221 Jordan Drive, in Cheswall.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Proceed.
I'm the HOA. I just been elected HOA president for the homeowner association, and we did a lot of work to try to get added to the stormwater maintenance, and months and months going around trying to get all the neighbors to, to sign or whatever, and plus we had a lot of other stuff going down around as far as getting our streets done and everything, playground and getting the ponds within regulations. So we did a lot of work, and we just hope that y'all will let us join your stormwater maintenance.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions, Mr. Malone? Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the audience that is in favor of Resolution 3973, please come forward. Anyone else in favor, please come forward. Anyone on the phone, Mark?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask anyone that is opposed to Resolution 3973, the Stormwater Maintenance District for Parker's Run, to please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Not seeing any. Anybody on the phone or online?
Similarly, if there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in opposition of Resolution 3973, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. Still no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions before we close the public hearing? Any commissioners have any questions? Okay, at this time, I'll close the public hearing and turn Resolution 3973 over to Commissioner Angel for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finding that the proposed stormwater maintenance district expansion is adequate and appropriate, that all property owners within the district are benefited directly or indirectly thereby, that is, the public interest to extend the stormwater maintenance district in the manner proposed, I move to approve Resolution 3974, creating the Parkers Run Stormwater Maintenance District.
Second.
3973. 39, you said 3974, 3973.
3973, excuse me.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions on the motion? I don't see any. Can we have roll call, please, on Resolution 3973?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, based on 113 of the 214 lots approved it for the 53% on the petition, no opposition, and staff approval. Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes, based on staff recommendations.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, based on reasons stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, reasons stated, and the stormwater maintenance program is one of the most successful programs that we run here in the county and most beneficial to those subdivisions that enter the program.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, all of what Commissioner Sweeney stated, plus in the long run, it's going to save the homeowners a lot of money. So, yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3973 has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming in. Next item under public hearing is resolutions extending the Kent County Stormwater Maintenance District. Falls under Commissioner Maston, Resolution 3974. Turn it over to you, ma'am.
Mrs. Kiefer? Thank you. Resolution 3974 would add the Ashland subdivision to the Stormwater Maintenance District. Again, the majority of lot owners have signed their petition in the affirmative to join. Those signatures have been verified. The operation and maintenance plan is finalized. At this point, stormwater infrastructure has not been completed and accepted. The district will not be responsible for maintenance here until that time. Otherwise, the subdivision meets all criteria to join the district, and staff would recommend approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions for Ms. Kiefer? Seeing none, thank you. At this time, I'll ask anyone who may be in the audience in favor of Resolution 3974 to please come forward. Anyone in favor, please come forward. Anyone online?
If there's anyone online who would like to speak in favor of Resolution 3974, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask anyone who may be in the audience that is opposed to Resolution 3974, opposed to Resolutions 3974, please come forward. Seeing none, anyone online?
If there's anyone online that would like to speak in opposition of Resolution 3974, please indicate by raising your electronic hand. No hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions before I close the public hearing? Any questions? I don't see any. At this time, I'll close the public hearing and turn back over to Commissioner Maston for a motion.
Finding that the proposed stormwater maintenance district expansion is adequate and appropriate, that all the property owners within the district are benefited directly or indirectly thereby, and that it is in the public interest to extend the stormwater maintenance district in the manner proposed, I move to approve Resolution 3974, creating the Ashland Stormwater Maintenance District.
Second.
Thank you. Motion made by Commissioner Maston, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Commissioner Angel,
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Sweeney,
My vote's yes, and I want to remind people, these have become pretty commonplace, and we just vote on them. We get people in the program. It's a great program, and we have to continue to vote on them because we're adding a line item to their property taxes at the end of the year. So that's why we vote on it. But this is a great program, and I need people to understand that, we'll keep adding developments in as long as they keep wanting it.
Mr. Pepper.
My vote is yes per Commissioner Sweeney's comments and all other comments.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 votes yes.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Resolution 3974, the Ashland Kent County Stormwater Maintenance District has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. At this time, we're going to move on to petitions for conditional use approval. First item falls under Commissioner Sweeney. It's application number C-23-01. Sir, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Kiefer is queued up and ready to go.
Thank you. Application C-2301 is a conditional use application for a community solar facility. The commissioners may remember ordinarily these are handled administratively. In this case, an objection was received. So the applicant elected to go through the public hearing process. The area in question is 4.7 acres just adjacent to Viola. It is zoned AR, agricultural residential. The Regional Planning Commission took testimony on this application at their February 2nd hearing, and at their February 9th business meeting, voted unanimously to recommend conditional approval. The specific conditions are in item 2 of the report sent to you. In part, there are recommendations regarding fencing, as well as lighting and ground cover. The Planning Commission also recommended incorporating all applicable conditions that were added by the town of Viola for the portion of the project in their jurisdiction, to incorporate those into the county's approval as well. So again, this does come with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Sarah. Can you go back like 3 or 4 slides to the entire project? That one. So what you'll note in the red is what is in the county unincorporated areas. Everything to the left of that is in the town of Viola. And I want to thank Sarah and her staff for your coordination of the conditions that the town put on their portion of this property and this portion of their project, because we adopted those into our conditions. And this was a long time coming, wouldn't you say, Tyler? And we finally got it done. So I just want to make sure I let you know I appreciate everything your staff did to work with the town of Viola to make this happen.
We're very happy to help.
Okay, any questions? Any questions, Ms. Kiefer, before we open the public hearing? I don't see any. At this time, we'll open the public hearing on application C-23-01. I'll ask anyone in favor to please come forward, and please give your name and your address and be sworn or affirmed.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Mike Ryman with Becker Morgan Group, 309 South Governors Avenue, Dover, Delaware. I also have, do the swearing first.
Mr. Ryman, sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I also have with me Andrew Brunel from ECA Solar, who are the developers of the project. And I know for the benefit, I know the Levy Court has heard a number of these applications and probably some of this repetitive, but I know we have a couple of new Levy Court commissioners here, so I'm going to walk through this process tonight. We are here to request a conditional use approval for a community solar project. The conditional use standards are listed there. There are 4 criteria that we are required to demonstrate that we comply with. Those criteria include that the location is appropriate and not in conflict with the comprehensive plan. In this particular case, the project is located partially in the town of Viola and in Kent County, and that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and character of the area. That the public health and safety will not be adversely impacted. These projects produce minimal amount of disturbance to develop. They are a renewable energy source, which is a positive for the environment. It will comply with the new solar ordinance, which includes all of the soils testing be performed in accordance with that. Limited impervious proposed for the project. What have you there. So the next one is adequate off-street parking, and this is not a use that produces the need for a lot of parking. It's very minimal traffic to these facilities, so no issue with that particular requirement. And that necessary safeguards to protect the surrounding property and persons. This project will comply with all of the buffer requirements that are very clearly outlined in your new ordinance that you created, and so this will meet that requirement as well. Next slide. In addition, the new solar ordinance that was adopted includes a number of setbacks. This project is specifically inside the growth zone in the AR zoning district. Those setbacks are listed there that this project's required to complete. We will meet all of those. The landscaping requirement of 2 rows of staggered trees. The soil study and testing that is required per the ordinance will be provided. That a decommissioning plan will be created, and that necessary bonding will be in place to address the at the end of the facility's life cycle to be removed. As Ms. Kiefer stated and Commissioner Sweeney, this project is a little bit unique in that it is a piece of property that is partially within the town of Viola and partially within Kent County. About 2/3 of the project is within the town limits, and about 1/3 is within the county. The property is surrounded by Howard Street, Temple Street, and East Evans Road. The total property is about 21.6 acres. And you can see the red dash line representing the town limits. We are to the right side of that. This shows you the layout itself. The thick green line is the buffer that surrounds the property. It's about 25 feet wide. It's a landscape buffer. Access, you can see there is the gravel access road accessing East Evans Road. The project will include a fence around the perimeter. In addition to the fence, there will be a green mesh added to the fence. That was something part of discussions that were part of the public process through Viola. Viola did approve the project on November 4th, 22. So we went through about 4 public hearings, I believe, to get through that process. This just shows highlighting the buffer in the top right corner so you can see what that looks like. A number of views just to show how the landscaping will aid in screening the facility. You can see this view here from East Evans Road, and you can see if the key map in the top right, the direction of the view there. Again, this is from Gilden Street, Temple Street, and one of the adjacent properties there. Again, just another view showing a combination of the fence with green mesh, 7 feet high, 25-foot landscape buffer, and with the solar array behind it, it does a nice job of screening the view. The fence we propose is custom with all ECA facilities, a 4x4 not wire mesh fence. This allows for small migration of animals through. It includes 16 by 16 inch openings every 100 to 150 feet so that you can have some of the, like a fox or something like that, continue to migrate through the facility. So the green mesh that we're adding would not go all the way to the bottom so that we can allow the small animals and what have you to be able to migrate through the facility. We did include to the county, there's always some questions about property values. We've provided these studies in the past. There's a number of studies that demonstrate that these facilities do not provide a negative impact on surrounding property values in these types of settings. Community notification, and the reason we're here this evening is that there were 43 neighbors notified in accordance with Kent County's notice requirements, and 3 objections were received, which triggers us to come before the Planning Commission and you this evening. The reasons that were stated on the different objections were, one, just didn't know much about solar, just didn't understand it. The other one was the trees take too long to grow, and hence we've added the mesh to the fencing to help with that. And the other was just simply loss of farmland, not wanting to see a loss of farmland. So this is the town's approval. As Ms. Kiefer stated, there were a number of conditions as part of that. They have then subsequently been included as part of the RPC recommendations. We are okay with all of those. Some of those conditions are already in your code or already part of the new ordinance, so no issue with those. The staff recommended approval of the project to the Planning Commission, and we have no objection to any of the requirements outlined in the report. And also, as Ms. Kiefer stated, RPC also recommended approval. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Ryman, how did the presentation go with the town of Viola?
I was not at those. ECA handled those directly, so I can't speak to those. But I think Mr. Redding had testified at the RPC hearing that it went rather well. I think I believe that was his testimony, but I was not there, so I can't speak directly to it.
They had offered up some conditions for regular maintenance of the external grass, extend the fence on Evans Road. They also did not want a path around the outside of the facility because they don't want kids or residents riding four-wheelers thinking it's a nice four-wheeler path for them. The trees also, they had a limitation on the height because they didn't want to destroy some of the views that they have, of the horizon and of the sky and other areas. And ECA agreed to that. The buffer trees, ground cover grasses, fencing installed according to the plan, which you've already mentioned, has the green mesh in it and set off the road, and a soil study to be done on. Those were all things that ECA agreed to, correct?
That's correct, and are part of the conditions of RPC.
Thank you. So there was one person who had an objection.
Well, there were 3, actually. Three out of the 43.
Do we know if we've actually, if they've been communicated with?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that. I don't know if you're aware.
Yeah, just be sworn in.
Yep.
Thank you.
Name and address.
My name is Andrew Bunnell, General Counsel at ECA Solar. 282 Moody Street, Waltham, Mass. 02453.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Proceed.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
So there were 3 objections to this. Were those objections contacted by
We did
ECA?
attempt to contact each of the objectors. Were not successful, unfortunately.
Okay. I know that when Ms. Anaya gets the opportunity to speak, I think she'll speak to the same situation.
That's right.
But, you know, this, again, with solar, no traffic, no vehicle pollution, no noise pollution, doesn't grow houses. So I think that's why the town was very much in favor of it. So I'm glad to see it here. Thank you, Mr. Pepper.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Levy Court have any questions? If not, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Anyone else here in favor of this project, application C2301? Please give us your name, address, and be sworn or affirmed.
My name is Tyler Anaya. I live at 103 East Howard Street, Viola, Delaware, 19979.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
So as you guys were told, there were 3 objectors. 2 out of the 3, after the objections were received, we did have, I don't remember if it was 1 or 2, additional town meetings. So at both of them, I reached out to all 3 of the objectors, invited them, told them we were going to be there. ECA Solar would be there if they have any questions. 2 out of the 3 actually came. So I talked to both of them, or 2 of them. Patricia Wheeler was one of them, and then Frances was the other one that I spoke to. They both, after I talked to Patricia Wheeler, she was like, I just didn't know what the project was. I didn't know anything about it. That was the one who said, I really don't know anything about solar, and I didn't know about the project. So she was like, I really don't have any problem with it. I asked her if she would mind writing something to say she was okay with that, and unfortunately, we just didn't connect after that. So the other one, Frances, when I spoke with her, she and the other objector are related. And she ultimately sounded like she was okay with the project, but I think she was of the same mindset of just seeing, she was kind of sad that the farmland was going to go. So the third objector, I was not able to get in touch with him. I did make several attempts, but he did not appear to want to talk to me. So hopefully, I mean, I didn't get any negative feedback from when I talked to the budding neighbors. I talked to people that kind of lived right around where we do. Obviously, this is my family's land. So when I approached them about this project, I asked them, you know, instead of developing it and making houses, can we do something else, please? So they did agree to it. You know, they've talked, and I think ECA Solar has done a phenomenal job on the project. I feel like we've done a really good job, both them, and I know I've been kind of walking and calling and tracking and knocking on doors and trying to make sure everybody really knows what's coming down the pipeline and what was coming. So hopefully you guys agree to it.
Any questions? Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience in favor of this project? Anyone else in the audience in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone online?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of this project, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open up the floor to anyone in the audience who may be opposed. And anyone that may be opposed to this project, C23-01, please come forward. Anyone opposed? I don't see anyone online.
Similarly, if there's anyone that would like to speak in opposition of application C2301, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any questions before we close? Commissioner Sweeney.
Ms. Kiefer? I believe this is the first time I've seen a really, really extensive description of the decommissioning process. I think it came up with a value of $211,000 and some change. Is that entire amount bonded for the decommissioning of this after the life of the solar panels?
It is bonded, and then we reevaluate over time as markets change.
And based on any soils tests that, over the next 25 or 30 years, Harold, this land can go right back to being farmed at the end of that period, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, I don't see any questions. Close the public hearing, and I'll turn the application over to Commissioner Sweeney for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to approve application C-2301, East Evans Community Solar Initiative, LLC, based on the conditional approval of the RPC, acceptance of VCA Solar of all conditions placed by the Regional Planning Committee as well as the Town of Viola, staff approval and their coordination with the Town of Viola to set those conditions that are acceptable to the developer, the town, and the county. And I want to thank the staff again for their participation in that.
Second the motion.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Angel. Any questions on the motion? I don't see any. Can we have roll call, please, on the motion?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, no, RPC approval, no public opposition tonight, and the reason stated by Commissioner Sweeney.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, per my motion.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, per all the previous reasons stated. Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals application C-23-01 has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. Next item on the agenda falls under Commissioner Hertz. It's application C-23-02. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
And Ms. Kiefer is ready to present.
Thank you. Application C-2302 is a conditional use application for a pawn shop within the BG zoning district. The site is 3.4 acres just south of Harrington. The Regional Planning Commission took testimony at their February 2nd hearing and at their February 9th business meeting voted unanimously to recommend conditional approval. Among the conditions, there will be no outdoor storage and no outdoor display. Again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, Ms. Kiefer? I don't see any. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'll ask anyone who may be in the audience to come forward and present testimony in favor of application C-23-02. Anyone in favor of C-23-02, please come forward, and we have someone at the podium. Please give us your name, address, be sworn or affirmed by the attorney.
My name is Stephen Quigley. I'm at 79 Main Street, Greenwood, Delaware.
Sir, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Excuse me, sir. Could you spell your last name for me?
Quigley, Quigley.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am very grateful for
Proceed.
this opportunity. So thank y'all very much for that.
Sir, if you can pull that microphone just a little bit
Yeah, can you
closer
step
to
up to the
you.
microphone and pull it to
Sorry
you
about that.
so we can hear you. So go ahead and proceed, and then
So I was just going to say thank y'all very much for this opportunity. I really hope that we can go through with this.
any questions? Are you the owner or some?
No, sir, I'm going to be a manager there.
Okay, great. Any other questions? See none. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Anyone else in the audience in favor of application C-23-02? Anyone else in favor? Anyone in favor online?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in favor of application C-2302, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. I See no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this time, we'll ask anyone in the audience that is opposed, anyone opposed to application C-23-02, please come forward. Anyone opposed? I don't see any in the audience. Anyone on the phone or online?
Similarly, if you would like to speak in opposition to application C-23-02, you can indicate by raising electronic hands online at this time. I see no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions before I close the hearing? Sir, you had your opportunity, don't you? All right. Any questions from the commissioners? Any questions? See none. At this time, we'll close the public hearing. And I'll ask for a motion from Commissioner Hertz.
At this time, I'd like to ask to approve application C-23-02. Applicant and owner is Lance Maffa and Suburban Popine LP. The use is going to be for a pawn shop and general business. And I guess let's ask for a vote.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Hertz, second by Commissioner Sweeney to approve application C-23-02. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, RPC approval, staff approval, no opposition publicly, and Commissioner Hertz's motion, yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, all reasons stated.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals application number C-23-02 has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. Okay, next item is petitions to amend comprehensive plan map and zoning map. Mr. Scott, ordinance LC 23-01. I'll turn it over to you.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Thank you. Ordinance LC 2301 is an ordinance amending both the zoning map and the comprehensive plan land use map. The site is an acre site located just northwest of Milford. Currently, the site is zoned BG and designated as highway commercial. The proposal is to zone the site AC, agricultural conservation, and designate it within the comprehensive plan as low-density residential. The Regional Planning Commission took testimony at their February 2nd hearing, and at their February 9th business meeting, voted unanimously to recommend approval, citing the fact that the proposal is indeed in keeping with the surrounding area. So again, this comes with a recommendation for approval. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any commissioners have any questions for Ms. Kiefer? I don't see any. This time, we'll open the public hearing. Now, I ask anyone in the audience who may be here in favor of ordinance LC 23-01 to please come forward. Anyone in favor of ordinance LC 23-01, testimony in favor to please come forward.
Mr. President, I believe the applicant is online. Mr. Scarborough, if you would like to unmute your line and give us your name and address and be sworn and affirmed by our attorney.
Dean Scarborough, 689 Warner Road, Milford.
Mr. Scarborough, do you swear or affirm, sir, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Proceed with your testimony, Mr. Scarborough.
Well, I just had the business for 20-some years, and I'm ready to retire, so I just want to turn it back into my house on my family's farm.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this time, we'll ask anyone who may be in the audience opposed to this application, please come forward. Anyone opposed, please come forward. Anyone online?
If there's anyone joining us online that would like to speak in opposition of application CZ 2301, please indicate by raising your electronic hand at this time. Seeing no hands raised, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any commissioners have any comments or questions before we close? Commissioner Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Kiefer? For a residence, is there any benefit to changing this back to agricultural AR or AC as opposed to BG? Can he have a house on a BG property?
No, he would have to rezone.
He would have to
accommodate
rezone.
it, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, at this time, we'll close the public hearing. And I'll ask Mr. Scott for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion based on the information presented, Kent County Code and the comprehensive plan. Staff recommends approval of the request of the amended zoning map and comprehensive plan future land use map. Proposed rezoning meets the conditions for approval of zoning change under Kent County Code Section 205-408B.
Second.
Thank you. Motion to approve by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Maston. Any questions on that motion? I don't see any. Can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes, RPC staff approval, and that Del Dot also said that they didn't have to do a GIS because it's not warranted. So, yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes, per staff and RPC recommendations.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes, for reasons stated.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, reason stated.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, for all reasons stated.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes, for all reasons stated. And Mr. Scarborough, good luck on your retirement.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals ordinance LC 23-01 has been approved by Kent County Levy Court. At this time, we'll close the public hearings and we'll go to old business. Seeing none, we'll go to new business. Commissioner Hertz, you have an introduction.
Yes. I'd like to introduce an ordinance amending Kent County Code, Volume 1, Chapter 180 by revising Article 2 definitions, 180-05 definitions to add a definition by revising Article 3 regulations of the sewer use, 180-10B use of public sewers, B discharge and pretreatment prohibitions to amend the language by revising Article 3 regulations of sewer use, 180-12 industrial wastewater discharge permits. 1, to modify references from limits to loadings and to delete names of specific metals, and by revising 180 Attachment 1 to rename the title of Table 183-1 from maximum allowable industrial limits to maximum allowable industrial loadings, and to replace Table 180-3-1 in its entirety to show revised parameters and loadings.
Second.
That's introduction only. Thank you, sir. Next item is, Mr. Scott, you have a couple of appointments.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I have introduction of appointment to the Board of Assessment Review. Brendan Warfel lives at 960 Northeast Front Street, Milford, Delaware. And then my second one.
Your first one, Brendan Warfel, is that your motion to approve?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, we need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Scott, second by Commissioner Maston, to approve Brendan Warfel as the new member of the Board of Assessment Review from Commissioner Scott's district. Any questions on the motion? I don't see any. Can we roll call, please, on that?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Mr. Brendan Warfel is new member of the Board of Assessment Review. Next appointment, Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, sir. I make a motion to appoint Dustin Russell of 954 Mesobob Road, Houston, Delaware 19954 to the SAB Committee Advisory Board. Dustin has an extensive history with water and sewer, both being he handles a lot with Magnolia and Frederick as it is.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Scott and second by Commissioner Masson to approve Mr. Dustin Russell to Sewer Advisory Board. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston, Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Mr. Dustin Russell has been appointed to the Kent County Sewer Advisory Board. Next two items, fall under Commissioner Angel. We have a couple of appointments there.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, the Board of Assessment, I nominate Harry B. Sewell. He's a former real estate attorney, and with the reassessment coming up and anything, it'd be nice to have an attorney on our side living here. That's my motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Scott. Any questions? See none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Mr. Harry B. Sewell has been appointed to the Board of Assessment Review. Second item, Mr. Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Community Board Appeals, nominate Reginald Valentine. Also has some background, and it was also on the Cheswalt's board at one point, and nice to have a little experience coming forth.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Masson to approve Reginald Valentine to the Community Board of Appeals. Any questions? I don't see any. Can I have roll call on that, please?
Mr. Angel,
Yes.
Mr. Hall,
Yes.
Mr. Hertz,
Yes.
Mrs. Maston,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney,
Yes.
Mr. Pepper.
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals Mr. Reginald Valentine is now a member of the Community Board of Appeals. Okay, next item on the agenda falls under the President. In the fall of 2022, Kent County Administrator Michael Pettit-Damage submitted his notice of retirement effective April 30th, 2023, with terminal leave starting December 22nd, 2022. Per Levy Court direction, the HR office promptly posted recruitment notices on the Kent County website, the International City County Management Association website, the National Association of Counties website, Indeed, and Delaware State News, and emailed it to various other community resources. After a preliminary round of interviews, commissioners conducted in-person interviews with finalists on January 18, 2023. After the interviews, the commissioners reviewed the qualifications, conditions, and compensation needs of the candidates, and consensus on a selection was reached. Per Delaware Code, an employment agreement was drafted, and after a thorough review by the parties, the candidate has accepted the position and established residency in Kent County. Therefore, formal appointment is now in order. So, at this time, I'll ask Mr. Angel to read the motion. We'll ask for a second.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to conclude the tenure of the acting county administrator and appoint Kenneth C. Decker as county administrator for Kent County, Delaware, effective March 1st, 2023, and furthermore, authorize the president of Levy Court to execute the employed agreement as presented.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Masson to approve the hiring of Kenneth C. Decker as the next Kent County Administrator. Any questions on that motion? Seeing no one with any questions, can we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Absolutely, positively, yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes, and welcome aboard.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes, welcome to Kent County.
Mr. Scott?
Yes, welcome aboard, Mr. Decker.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. It looks like after I sign this document here, we'll have a new Kent County Administrator. I'll ask all the county commissioners to come down front, and Mr. Decker will actually come forward for a welcoming.
There were a couple moments. Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys have gotten more photographs tonight than you're almost qualified to be one of my grandkids.
Okay, I have signed these documents, so I guess it's official. I'd like to congratulate you.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome you aboard. We'll hope for many, many years of employment here, and welcome to be part of the Kent County family. We say that to all of our new employees, and so welcome to the family.
Thank you very much.
And I'll let each commissioner say a couple words, and then we'll let you say a couple words, and we get a picture.
Well, sir, it's been a while coming, so finally got you here. You've already found a residence, I understand? Okay, well, that's Mr. Sweeney's area right now. So, but I understand you're looking for land. That's good. Good. So we'll be glad to help you any way we can. I'm sure we're going to want you in our district too. Welcome.
Congratulations, Mr. Decker. It's a delight to have you with us and look forward to working with you.
Mr. Decker, congratulations. I think provided a good experience level that will help us move forward moving into the future.
Ken, welcome aboard. I'm glad you and your wife are in Camden. I think it's a great place to settle. Good luck finding a house. I have a son who's been trying to find a house now for 3.5 years, so I hope you find a house.
My wife won't be doing that.
Yeah. I think Miss Kiefer left, but I'd like to make sure you talk to her, because if you have to rezone something, it's really not as easy as it was tonight.
I can imagine.
Welcome aboard, Ken. Look forward to working with you.
Welcome aboard. Looking forward to working with you.
So short of retirement, this is probably my next happiest day of my career here. And I'm really looking forward to helping guide you on this path before I, hit the road like Commissioners Sweeney and Mr. Pepper. All of these folks are retiring, and of course, I'll be looking forward to that very soon as well. So welcome on board.
Is Trudy still here? I see a big smile on your face, too.
I'm super excited that you're here.
Well, thank you. I just want to say I've been a city manager or county administrator, including next door in Caroline, for 7 years, but over 20 years, I can tell you the 30 to 40 minutes of presentations tonight were as impressive as time I've spent sitting listening to people. The co-op, a community leader, a retiring employee, a current employee. For a second there, I thought I might have slipped into a Hallmark movie, because it was it was just really an incredible array of talent, and the trust, the respect, the affection that clearly the Levy Court commissioners have for the people in the community was very evident. So I feel incredibly fortunate to be in this position, and I don't know, I would take book that Ms. Hayes is still downstairs in her office when she should be
out enjoying a hard-earned beverage of her choice, that what she's really doing is clearing up a few things. If that's the standard of the employees here, this is going to be the best job ever. So thank you very much, and look forward to starting tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that is pretty much the standard. We have great employees here, and we all work together well. The employees make the commissioners look good. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They make us look good. We shake hands, kiss the babies, and and do all that kind of thing. But they actually do the work for us and make us look good. So in turn, they'll make you look good. So thank you for accepting our offer. Thank you for coming on board, and look for a lot of years of working with you. And
thanks for giving me something to do Saturday morning.
There you go. There you go. There you go. So if you will get back here and we'll take a picture, if you'll get here between the vice president and myself, well, we'll have to record this.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Be in touch. Oh, yeah. I guess if we could just get emails, because I'd like to at least sit down, have lunch, breakfast, whatever your meal of choice is, just as I settle in, so.
Call me. I get too many emails.
Okay.
Yeah. Usually after we leave the meeting, it's a midnight snack. But
the word midnight makes me nervous.
There you go. Okay, that concludes the personnel action. Other business, need for executive session tonight?
Mr. President, if ARPA and the sewer budget goes quickly, the attorney would like to discuss a bit of potential litigation. But if that doesn't happen, it won't be the end of the world.
Okay, with that being said, Commissioner Angel, I need you to read both of the motions.
Move to go into executive session, meeting following the workshop for preliminary discussion on site acquisition for publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining, or pending or potential litigation and personal matters pursuant to 29 Del Code 10004, B2, 4, and 9.
That's a motion. Need a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Unless there's any questions, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals motion passed. Item number 2.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to go into executive session week following the committee meetings of March 7th, 2023 for preliminary discussion on site acquisition for publicly funded capital improvement, legal strategy session regarding collective bargaining or pending or potential litigation, and personal matters pursuant to 29 Del Code 10004, B2, 4, and 9.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Angel, second by Commissioner Sweeney. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Angel?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
Yes.
Mr. Hertz?
Yes.
Mrs. Maston?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Pepper?
Yes.
Mr. President, roll call reveals 7 yeas.
Thank you. Roll call reveals the motion passed. Any informational items from the commissioners? Mr. Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. You should have received an invite from Carolyn Fredericks from Modern Maturity about the 24th of March at 9 o'clock, being there to help pack the lunches for Meals on Wheels and or helping deliver in your districts. They'll try and situate you in getting meals so you can meet your constituents also in another way. So I just wanted to bring that, told her I'd bring that up tonight under informational items.
Thank you. Any other information items? Mr. Quella.
Just quickly want to remind you that this coming Saturday, March the 4th, there will be the annual winter retreat. Our goal this year is to get it done before lunchtime, and we're going to need everybody's cooperation to do that. Yeah. So, new format, quickly done, so you don't have to stay here all day. No lunch will be provided, so there's your incentive.
What a cheap county.
And incentive. That's what he said. I heard him.
Paid for by all the directors, Susan.
Any other informational items? See none. Any public comments? Any public comments this evening?
Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Quell.
So obviously I can't let the night go by without saying that it's been a great honor and privilege and the highlight of my 26-year-long career here to serve as acting county administrator for the past couple of months. No, I really have appreciated the words of encouragement that each commissioner has made a point to come up and tell me, and all the support you've offered. It's greatly appreciated. And in addition to each one of you folks, the employees have been awesome. I mean, they just have been really encouraging. And if you just will indulge me just a bit, I want to quickly run through the list. And no, it's not 300 names, but it's a long list. If I could, I want to first point out, Susan Durham. Like, you really cannot be an effective county administrator without the support of your finance director, and she certainly has been there. As well as Lori Tanaka and Kathy Finney and Kelly Pitts. You know, the HR staff has really had to run the whole department without me for the past few months, and that would be Trudy Horsey and Elisa Hill. Mark Kennedy and Joe Simmons and Sam Bezquez, Diana Galt, Sarah Kiefer, Colin Faulkner, Jeremy Shepard. Tell you, I also got to point out Laura Whistler, who's no longer here, and she was a great assistance to me, as well as Mike Padamage, big help. And I do wish Ken Decker the best of luck and look forward to working with him for the next few months as he embarks on this wonderful journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting County Administrator Alan Quayle. Yeah, I guess as of that signature and that vote, that took you out of that position, didn't it? Any other commissioner comments?
I'd just like to say, Mr. Quayle, that it's short period I've been here. It's been actually an honor. You stepped right into the role, and I think you carried it just as smooth as anyone could have. So I think you've done a great job. You've given me a lot of guidance, and I truly appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.
Commissioner Mast.
Mr. Quayle, you've been an absolute delight to work with, and you've been a true ambassador for the employees, as well as for me personally, and I want to wish you the very best. And I know you're going to be glad to get back to your real job tomorrow.
Mr. Angel.
Yes. Well, and I've been with you since I've been here, so I got to see a different side of you that I didn't see, and it was great. It was absolutely, I know there was times where you said, I don't know how Mike did it, but, all I can say is you did it, and you did it well. Our staff meetings won't be the same. I thought they were very productive, and sometimes they were shorter than normal. So, but I just want to say congratulations. I know you're going to be retiring on us in November. I'll try and talk you out of that too. I know the beach is kind of summing you down to the Caribbean, but hey, there's always still hope. But thank you, sir.
Jody.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Quayle, your professionalism is exceeded by nobody here in this building. Not only for the many, many years. I mean, I think William Penn probably had discussions with you as an employee to what they were going to name this county. So That's how long you've been here. And your professionalism exceeded by nobody. And I appreciate what you've done for the county, not only as a director of HR, but also as stepping into the role as the acting county administrator. Thank you.
Mr. Hall.
Yeah, Alan, I just want to follow all that up. If there's had to be a time of year to step in as interim county administrator, this would probably be the most challenging time of year. So you really stepped up to the plate, did a great job, heard a lot of great things from folks in the county. Appreciate your service. So it was above and beyond, really. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? 26 years ago, you had your turn. 26 years ago, I really didn't know just how valuable of an asset that you would become to the county, Alan. And but you really are a great asset. You've committed 110% to your job, and 26 years ago, when I recommended that you be hired when I was president back then, I think that was probably one of the best decisions that I had to make. So I appreciate you, and I really appreciate you stepping in like you did. And we really didn't have to threaten you. You just did it, and you've done an outstanding job. But hopefully by the time November rolls around, you'll have a change of heart and decide you want to stay for another 26 years. So, but thank you, Alan. I really do appreciate it. Susan will still be here then too. So, okay. I need a motion to adjourn to the committee meeting. Oh, Commissioner Angel. Commissioner.
So did we skip public comments and then commissioner comments? Because
I did public comments. We did public comments.
So I have commissioner comment. Actually, I had one, but now I have two. I think we need to create a swear jar that when the commissioner's phone goes off, they have to pay $10 into the swear jar.
Second.
I think that would be $30 for
I got a new car and it's hooked to the car right outside.
One of the county meetings I went to, whenever someone's cell phone went off, and it would either be the people leading or the people sitting out in the audience, someone from the leadership got up and went out to them and held their hand out for $50. So, go ahead, Mr.
Thanks. Second comment, we had some appointments tonight to the Board of Assessment Review and the Board of Appeals. I just want to make sure, Mr. Scott and Mr. Angel, that you were honest with those appointees about what's coming. Yeah.
Mr. Angel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to go on record also. As you all know, we got our county newsletter out this week, and it's probably the best one I've ever seen. We changed the cover format. Miss Kelly Pitts did the article inside that let everybody know what Levy Court's about, what we do, and thanks to that it's generated some calls already. And according to Mr. President and I having a discussion, we'd like to see it probably put back in another issue this year because it's non-elected year, no elections going on, it's not political, but everybody that's moving here will know exactly what Levy Court does. And in my advertising courses, it takes 7 times of repeating something before somebody will buy something or say something. So we still have a road ahead of us in all the years we've been here. We're the first and last Levy Court, and we're not going anywhere. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And Ms. Pitts.
All right. So at this time, I need a motion to adjourn to the committee meetings.
Move to adjourn to committee meetings.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Sweeney, second by Commissioner Angel. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? All right. We are adjourned to committee meetings. We do have 7 commissioners present, so we'll call the committee meeting to order. The first item is the Administration Committee. Commissioner Angel, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Quayla and Gina, I think you both are up.
Yes, Commissioner Angel. Gina and Eric, I believe, is on the line. Will review the next ARPA prioritization. It's a follow-up on the same initial presentation last month. So, Gina?
All righty. Good evening, everyone. I would like to say as well, it has been a pleasure to work with you, Alan. He stepped into the role and did it with ease, and it's not an easy program, grace and patience. So I will miss you, although I expect you'll be at the next weekly meeting to give a little bit of transition, and look forward to working with the new county administrator. Okay, so this evening, Eric is on the line in case we have any detailed questions. I will try to go a little bit quickly. This presentation follows the memo that we provided, so should hopefully is some familiar territory. At this, for agenda, just a few chief items we're really looking to address here. So we'll give you a bit of an overview. Again, will be familiar status on the commitments to date, just to refresh. We will walk through the discussion that occurred in January, organizing some of the ideas that were put forward, providing some dollar amounts to address the remaining funds that are uncommitted for ARPA, and then discussing a few projects that may not quite fit into timeframes and schedules, or rather budget. Hopefully have a little bit of dialogue, and if there is some consensus, perhaps to move forward. So without further ado, familiar territory, you've seen this spreadsheet a couple of times. It summarizes the commitments. But to call attention to the bottom line numbers, recall we have about 5.7 million of remaining funds. This chart, or this spreadsheet, has two components: the general SLFRF dollars, the state and local financial recovery funds, fiscal recovery funds, and the county's $10 million revenue loss election. So that's the one on the right. Those two together adding to 5.7. So in terms of the second bucket, the revenue loss, that has $3.9 million, nearly $4 million of available funding that's not yet committed to projects. The Levy Court discussed last time a mobile command center replacement due to aging technology and a real need for top-notch equipment and a command center. We talked about a new building that has evolved a little bit into the construction of a new paramedic substation that would allow a power station, and forgive me if I am a little off on the terminology, but in the busiest area of the county, that would be a true benefit to paramedic services and service to Kent County. So those two together at $2 million each would, you can do the math, it does absorb the 3.97. So slight overage there, a little bit of a deficit of about $26,000. We're not super worried about that. As actual costs come in, you may pick up that $26,000, and as well in some of the other projects and commitments under the revenue loss, you may also achieve some savings, so you might be okay there. So that is the revenue loss bucket of 3.9 that you all talked about. The general bucket, the SLFRF at this point would have been the biggest amount, but you've made enough commitments that it's down to 1.7 million. There were several items that were discussed that could absorb those funds and could be committed. So premium pay, we'll talk about each of these in the following slides. But in terms of dollar amounts, is about $480,000 according to county calculations. I'm going to skip the nonprofit program for just a second. Affordable housing improvement also was discussed. Some general needs and interest to address that component of county needs and pandemic response needs. In a round number of about $1 million might make some sense. And again, I'll talk a little bit more about each of these in a sec. And then in terms of job training and job training assistance or program, an initiative, real focus was placed on paramedic emergency responder training and some interest there. So between those two items and then the job training at about 273, you can do the math there, and that adds up to 1.7. So what about the nonprofit program? We talked about a general nonprofit program that would be a smaller amount. You've done a program that's prioritized for populations. Now this would be something that would be opened up to be wider, simpler, smaller dollar amount, and that could be funded with existing commitments. So if the civic organization commitment that was made in November, at the end of November, were combined with some savings we're anticipating as a result of some declinations under the current nonprofit program, we could fund a 1.975 general nonprofit program. So, premium pay. Let's dig into that just a little bit. The general parameters are that the program is, or the ARPA allowance is for eligible county employees that were physically engaged in work at the county work site. The time period that would be most appropriate is that time when the county was shut down between March 22nd and May 31st in 2020. Generally speaking, is kind of a rule of thumb to understand premium pay. It functions as a hazard pay to be provided in addition to regular wages. And there are a couple of cannots around these this source. So it cannot exceed more than $13 per hour. It cannot be used for compensation already provided by the county during the closure period. So the county can't reimburse itself. And it can't exceed more than $25,000 per employee per year. And a couple of brief definitions. What's an eligible worker? It's any of the county employees. What's essential work? What did they have to perform? These are the county employees, eligible workers, who had regular in-person interactions with patients, don't matter quite so much, the public or coworkers, or who were engaged in handling items that others handled, that coworkers handled. So things that, could be communication of the virus. And folks that did not telework. They were present. Other fine point
Alan.
here is, yes, question?
Hi, Jeannie, can you go back one screen?
Yeah,
Or Mark?
sure.
So the second bullet under the premium pay cannot be used for compensation already provided by the county during the county's office closure. I'm not sure what that means.
this?
I mean, I heard your.
Yeah. It's that the county can't reimburse itself for employees, for pay that was provided to employees. It's in addition to. That's what all those words are trying to communicate.
Okay, so it's in addition to what we already paid. We can't say, well, we paid them, so we're going to pay ourselves back for that time.
Correct. You can't pay yourself back.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Thank you.
Commissioner.
Commissioner Hurst?
And that $13 is above their normal pay?
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Gina, just so I make sure I clarify and clear the air with anybody else's thoughts with this, the 80 hours that the county paid out is not counted into this, am I correct?
It's considered in part of the calculation, but it's not. The premium pay is in addition.
Correct, but I do believe that the county paid 80 hours, am I correct, Mr. Coelho?
That would be correct. So there, obviously in this premium pay, there would be some folks who have already been compensated for that time. A number of the essential employees, actually all the essential employees, did receive 80 hours of extra compensation as hazard pay. And we also, as you know, the paramedic group were also compensated for that same period of time.
Mr. Coelho, yeah, my point was being is that $479,000 is probably going to decrease quite a bit with taking that in consideration.
Right, so that was not included. All of those folks were excluded from this number. So the funds that were expended on the paramedics after they won their arbitration, that was not included. We excluded that group as well as the original 80 hours.
Thank you, sir.
Any further questions? Go ahead, Gina.
All righty. All right, another fine point here, just a written justification and what it is and why it's needed. It's required when both of the following criteria are met for the eligible worker, that that employee requires a written justification when the employee earns more than 150% of the state average annual wage for all occupations, and that's at $89,730 per year. So you'll be writing a few justifications, and also if that employee is exempt from Fair Labor Standards Act overtime provisions. So there'll be some writing on behalf of some of the employees. And the justification is really required. It details how premium pay is otherwise responsive to workers performing essential work during the public health emergency. And the total there is estimated, and I'll turn the next slide over to Alan, at $479,284. So Alan, if you would like to talk to the calculation.
Sure, these are just estimates. I know a lot of folks like to read numbers and believe that's in concrete, but unfortunately back in 2020 when this was occurring, we did not expect that ARPA would be coming along 3 years down the road if we had only known, Susan says all the time. So in this case, we do not have excellent documentation of who worked and who didn't work. We have certainly hourly people well documented, and we know who was paid in that case. We, and certainly essential staff, they did receive the original 80 hours, and most paramedics also did receive their arbitration award. But a number of hourly employees did not. They would have received the 80 hours, and that would have just been 2 weeks of the 2.5 months that this went on. So we did attempt to get a good account of those individuals and how many hours would be eligible for that, and then basically multiply it times $13 an hour, which is what the max is. And we also did we believe, a fairly accurate estimate of the salaried staff that worked on pretty much every single day during the the pandemic. And that's how we came up with the numbers and with the hours and that total cost, keeping in mind that all of this is going to have to be double-checked and individual timesheets reviewed. And we also intend to get each employee receiving this to attest that they actually did work these hours, all with the goal of making sure that if there is a future audit, that we have all the necessary documentation. Back to you, Mr. President.
Okay. Commissioner Hertz.
So is it safe to say this first group, the 56 911 dispatchers, wastewater, they've already been compensated?
So all they would have received was 80 hours worth, so 2 weeks out of the 2 months and 2 weeks. So this would be the hours they would have worked for that additional 2 months, basically the month of May and April. They were compensated for 80 hours. That's all they received.
Mr. Sweeney?
Thanks, Commissioner Angel. So if we agree to this and move forward, that 153 staff will receive a bonus and a paycheck that is taxable and all that?
So yes, so it would be taxable. And, you know, if this were to move forward, our goal is to try to complete this payout before the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, so the average there is between $2,000 and $4,000 a piece. Will we give them the opportunity to change their tax deductions for that one pay to be able to accommodate and make sure they're not hit too hard?
So with the Payroll Protection Act that was adopted a few years ago, it really isn't work like it used to try to avoid taxes that way, and certainly the IRS frowns upon it. But we certainly would encourage folks to consider some tax-free rollovers into their 457.
Thanks.
Further questions? Okay, Gina.
Okey-dokey. Moving on. Sorry. Okay, whoops. I think I was overzealous here. Okay, next is the nonprofit program. Again, something we could carve out of existing commitments. The notion here, make this widely available to any nonprofit with a 501c3 or C19 tax-exempt status that they can demonstrate. Those are the two nonprofit forms under ARPA, and it is hard-clad. So there are other organizations that may be doing great things, charitable things, but if they don't have the tax-exempt status, it's not something that ARPA funds can be used for.
So a 501c8 is not qualified then?
Correct. There are over 20 501c designations, but only these two. C3 is charitable, 19s are veteran services, or veteran-oriented. The idea here is, as well, you've run a nonprofit program for the 4 categories, the first original one with higher dollar amounts for children and youth, disabled, homeless, food banks, seniors, anyone who received funding through that program for the revenue loss component would not be eligible under this one, be double dipping. And that would be a no-no for ARPA. If their denial was other than the 4 categories of what I just named, in other words, they say didn't have a nonprofit status, or their financial statements did not show that they had a revenue loss, then they also would not be eligible. These are lots of words to kind of communicate some basic common sense components. You would want the applicant to be located in, headquartered, or at least serve Kent County residents in whole or in part. Revenue loss, I'm talking a lot about revenue loss. This would not be a capital improvement program. Recall the current nonprofit program has both aspects. This would be revenue loss. It's intended to be simple, streamlined, and straightforward. So revenue loss is, much easier program to administer. Really look towards tax forms, some really simple, bright line ways of making determinations. Same concept of looking towards 2019 as a base year against 2020 and 2019 against 2021, kind of keep that consistency, but also limit it to much lower maximum amount of $50,000. And to avoid really small check payments to a minimum award of $1,000. Now that's a little different number than what was in your memo. We think, kind of in consultation with the staff, that might make sense as a dollar amount. So just want to call attention to that. And as I'm saying, this sort of simplified documentation process. Really, we're thinking of 990 forms, and there are particular bright line, specific line items where we would look to and make it pretty straightforward. Operated on a first come, first served basis, but first served meaning first complete application. So not just throwing something in there, but that it's complete and that we can make a judgment on. Religious institutions not eligible, hold a 3-month period, application period, as we did previously. If anyone had been denied because they didn't meet the 4 categories, we could take that application, offer them the opportunity for us to consider their application in this one, so they don't have to do duplicate applications, just supplement with any needed documents that we needed. And also keep the advisory committee in place for special circumstances consideration. So that would be, yeah.
So Gina, 501c8 didn't qualify for 1, but they lost money due to what ARPA, we closed them down because of ARPA. So the ARPA funds are supposed to make them whole because they had revenue loss. What would they qualify for then? We almost lost this one that I know about.
I know. But it is not something that we can, get creative about.
I don't want to get creative. I just, we're giving money out for people to get bounced back and keep going and moving on. So I thought we would be able to do that, like I said, based on when I was in Washington, asking questions and coming back here and asking questions. So is there anything that, they had sewer bills, they couldn't bring in money to pay that, and they have a revenue loss that they still had to pay.
Yeah, I understand. Why I'm saying about getting creative is there's a lot of flexibility. There's also a lot of ambiguity around ARPA, but it's pretty clearly stated, bright line, that nonprofits have to be either a C3 or a C19 to be eligible to receive funds.
They don't qualify as a nonprofit, is what you're saying. So is there another category they can qualify for?
If
they lost revenue.
No. If they were a for-profit business, there are other programs or other things they could have taken advantage of. But if you'd like to talk offline on what the organization is, what they do, is their tax? We really know that their tax exempt status is C8. We can take a look at it, but there's not a lot that we can get around.
I don't want to get around anything. I'm not trying to create anything. I'm just asking if there's another avenue. Since they don't qualify for 1, is there something else they can qualify for? That's all.
Yeah. Probably not. But I always like to, not say fully no until I really understand who the organization is. So if you want to, let us know who it is, what it is, what their exempt status is. We're happy to look at it. But I think that's going to be hard. This one's going to be hard. All righty. Other two components here in the main general SLFRF bucket. Affordable housing, really the idea here is to improve housing quality of life, preserve home ownership in the county. This would be a little more of an earmark for further development within, with this overall category, but with further development in consultation with the Housing Authority and internal staff on how to address some additional affordable housing criteria and needs. So this would be a kind of general category and appropriately round number of $1 million.
Question?
Yep.
Ms. Mass?
Yeah, Gina, what I'd like to see if other commissioners agree when we get to that point is out of that $1 million, perhaps consider taking about $300,000 of that money, putting that with the planning group. I'd been working with Ms. Kiefer and Kane to determine other properties that we could probably upgrade, whether it be replacement of mobile homes or actual general work on properties. And they had a list of somewhere between 13 and 20 properties that we could probably do a really good job to improve the residents' quality of life. But it would be about $300,000. So just a thought.
Okay, so noted. Okay.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Okie dokie. And then the job training and really expressed interest to replenish or look forward ahead to expected attrition in emergency services paramedics due to a variety of reasons, including retirement, and funding an additional 3 to 5 tuition and stipends for trainees to attend the academy. So number there about 280,000, 273, 248, and that 48 and those specific dollars just add to the 1,752 in 532 in this category. So we also talked about some big swing projects. Commissioner Angel, longstanding interest to really see the county have a backup sewer plant. There was also some discussion around a potential rec center expansion. These are big projects. They are beyond, in terms of dollars, in all likelihood, the available funding. The development timelines, timeframes probably are close, if not exceed, the 2026 deadline for ARPA funds, in particular a new sewer plant with siting, environmental design, and then construction would likely be well beyond 2026. So we just wanted to, recognize that those were some thoughts put forward. In terms of the sewer plant, the challenge is really around flooding, as I heard discussed and expressed. There are other measures that perhaps the engineering department can take a look at, hardening measures that can help, lift stations or components of the plant that perhaps could be undertaken under the $6 million that was allocated for water infrastructure in November of last year. So there are probably some things that you can do to improve, short of being able to fund a whole backup plant. And then last, there was some discussion around the Dover Motorsports, having moving that office space, creating office space. Again, a considerable project, little challenging in terms of timeline and as well available resources. Perhaps, new offices weighed against some of the more urgent and other needs of the county in relation to pandemic response. Perhaps this one doesn't quite compete as well. And then the new small business and tourism programs, there were a couple of recommendations put forth by the chamber for some new programs. Again, these are programs, or these are areas, types of entities that have already received some assistance, been addressed, and there was some discussion early on about, prioritizing those kind of second over other priorities. Yes.
The Dover Motorsports. I know we've already done something with reimbursement to tourism, but this is an economic driver, what brings people here. Yes, it's tourism on the side, and yes, this happened afterwards. We did it, and they were getting kicked out of their building, and then they have to find a place now too, so we can help them, try and help them. There's nothing we can do to help them. I'm not asking for $1 million or $2 million or whatever, but something's better than nothing. There's nothing we can do to help them that's not in a category, like I said, to me, that's an economic driver. This has helped our businesses thrive that we gave money to so they reopen. We want to keep them reopened. So to me, it's a domino effect. So is there anything we can do?
These are your dollars. You can do a whole variety of things. It's really about weighing which ones you want to focus on. The items put forth in the previous bullets, weighing against, a project like this. It is in an economic development space. There probably is something that could be done. It would have to be carefully thought through, given where they are. It would potentially be a capital project, so there would be requirements around it, and one of which would be finding the other funds for the office location. But if you saw fit to, attempt to look at this, we could look at it.
Okay. Ms. Masson?
One other comment, back on one of the beginning screens, I guess, I saw stormwater and other drainage. And I think way back when we allocated something like $2 million there. And the one thing that I've learned since I've been on Levy Court in conversation with a lot of the directors is that $2 million is a lot of money for stormwater, and I think there's been some conversations even with Jared Atkins that $2 million is probably way too much money to have in that category. So whether or not that is the amount we go with or we reduce that amount, then those excess dollars could also be used for some of the other projects. Just a suggestion and something to think about.
Well, I know that, I don't know if Diana's got working on, there were $2 million and $4 million, a total of $6 million for water infrastructure. And I know she's got some thinking on how to allocate those. So I expect you all will hear a plan for the use of those. But, so noted if the $2 million is reduced. Whoops.
Gina?
Yes.
We're having a sidebar here, but the $2 million for stormwater management, it has to be spent within 2 years, 4 years, right?
It has to be spent by the end of 2026.
And Jared's back there shaking his head, no, he could spend $2 million. Can you do it in that amount of time? No, just shake your head yes or no. Okay, thank you.
All righty. So that really concludes the slides. I just gave you the impacted and disproportionately impacted map. What do y'all think?
Commissioners? Any questions?
You go back, way back to one of the early slides of the table that you had there.
Yep.
Right there. Is the Bay Health Foundation still fitting into this?
Yes. We expect in March we'll be coming to you with a recommendation there.
Okay, so that is still in the picture and is still viable at this point?
Yep.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep. We worked with the hospital. They have a great program, and we're just trying to find the best way with the least resistance, the least challenge to qualify and make the award. But it's a terrific program. It's going to create additional medical staff, doctors for the county. Lots of heads bobbing up and down. It's very squarely in a great pandemic response.
From what they asked for initially, this is nowhere near what they were looking for initially. I think they were looking like, I think it was either $3 or $4 million for this program, and then we kind of had to whittle it down to $1 million. So I would hate to see anything happen to that, because it has great potential to bring doctors to the community that will stay here. So I don't want to see that touched personally.
Yeah, we're going forward with this number as we're considering this project.
Gina, where does the Ag Museum fall out in all this? I didn't see it up there.
Yes, that's an excellent question. They would be able to take advantage of the proposed new general nonprofit program as a 501c3, up to $50,000. The request was something like $57,000. So they are able to demonstrate revenue loss, which they should be able to. It'll be a nice benefit for them. Yep.
Mr. Hall.
I think it looks good. So if we come to agreement on this tonight, because I've gotten some calls from folks who thought they might have been processed by the end of December and are still waiting. So if we agree that these are the categories and the amounts, so what's our timeline looking like now?
So in terms of just the overall package, we would come back to you, formulate this in a resolution for you to authorize in the coming weeks, depending on how your schedule runs. And then in terms of implementing, really the most time-intensive, which would be the nonprofit program, that would probably take us 3 to 4 months to fully set up and launch. And why is it that time? While we have our own shoulders to stand on with the nonprofit program that's there, it is different. You will need a really good marketing strategy to announce the program, as well as the underpinnings, online application tweaks, a robust process for taking in applications and determining who's first, who's complete, who is paid, policies and procedures around that, documentation management. So it takes a little bit of time to set something up. So that would be, our rough idea of time frame for when that could get going. And that's from development to, here's the date, here's the launch, it's now available.
So it's not really going to be faster, easier, or better. It's because it's going to be a process still like we have now to get there.
It should be faster and easier. So there is, our thinking is that relying on tax forms and tax forms only. So the current program, bigger dollar amounts, your priorities. Made sense to provide more analysis and attention to it. This is available to all, would potentially be available to all nonprofits. We make it simple, streamlined, rely upon tax forms, 990, Brightline dollars, much simpler math, and should be able to be processed a whole lot faster. The current program also takes into consideration capital projects. They are a different animal. A whole host of considerations around the timing for the end of the 2026 timeframe. Will the project be built? There are a whole host of considerations when you're building a building and procurement and things of that nature. So that is a different animal. Taking that animal and finishing up with that one in the current program and not continuing on capital projects. So much more streamlined.
Any further questions, gentlemen, ladies?
Yeah, Mr. President, when are we looking at making somewhat of a decision on some of this? And the only reason I ask that is because of timelines for, as Gina was talking about, if you're talking about the paramedic command unit or the paramedic station, or even some of the stuff with water, stormwater and sewer, there could be a timeline with some of this, so I didn't know how far out we were with that.
Would you like, Mr. Chairman? So our goal is to have the resolution, the memo, the motion for you to adopt at your next business meeting. And when you do that, then you would set up these allocations of funds, and then immediately staff, certainly for the paramedic station like, could come to Levy Court and get formal approval of those very specific projects. They're already fairly specific now. And then we could initiate the process for that. And the others are fairly straightforward. The one that may take a little bit of time, obviously, will be the nonprofit civic organization.
Thank you, Mr. Quayla.
Any further questions? Commissioner Sweeney?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Not about what she discussed tonight, but I do have a question about the food bank. The food bank has been hitting some milestones that we set for disbursement of checks. Are we moving forward? Running into any roadblocks?
What we're doing with the food bank is there are some reporting requirements for special projects of $10 million or greater. And there are a couple of applicants. So these are more new development reporting requirements. So we're working through to make sure that we've got what we need and that the county will have what they need when that reporting is due. So we're working on some additional documentation. We also have a subrecipient agreement for them to review being a capital project. That's an appropriate form of contracting for it. So we are avidly working. We met last week with them, and we met the week before with them, so we've got documents working through that. So understood, they are a high priority.
Thanks, Gina.
Sure thing.
Any further discussion? Mr. Quayla?
So I think what we're looking for is consensus that you like the recommendations that as we presented, so that we can now formulate that final memo and motion for you.
Well, to have a show of hands to move it forth. 7 up. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Any public comments on this item?
I'll be brief, of course. I know you got more to go. Chris Connolly, Kent County Employee Council. Obviously, I want to thank you and support, obviously, the premium pay. That's been kind of a long process, long time coming. So I appreciate the diligence of the staff that worked on creating the numbers to get to you guys for a formal decision, and appreciate the 7-up hands that supported that as one of the priorities to make the employees whole that worked through the COVID process. So thank you again.
Thank you. Any further public comments? I was hoping you were going to come forth, Jarrett.
I will also make mine very brief. Do I need to be sworn in, or am I known to? Okay. So again, I want to thank the commissioners earlier this evening for voting in several more communities into the Stormwater Maintenance District. To tie into ARPA, we have a list of about 30 communities that have not been able to join the Maintenance District because of the expense of the repairs that they have to undertake before they can join. So one of our priorities for this funding, if we are able to keep it, is to focus on these communities that have a financial burden that cannot join the maintenance district because of some of these costly repairs. So that's where we're going to focus. In terms of time frame, we are geared up to be able to start talking to those communities right away. Right now we're waiting on some clarification and some guidance on how to spend the money. But once we get green lighted, we're prepared to hit the ground running. So thank you.
Hold on, Jarrett. So you have enough staff now that you can actually use that money up in the amount of time we have.
So I actually have a former county employee, former conservation district employee coming back to our district starting March 20th. And one of her sole responsibilities was to help guide us through the paperwork and the reporting requirements for the ARPA funding. So we're bringing on staff people just to manage this effort, yes.
Okay, and all these fundings that you need for storm, is that included from the Century 21 fund, the ones that we've worked with in the past that they're on a list, never got taken care of?
So drainage funding comes from a variety of different sources. The 21st Century Fund, which is now the RC&D fund, coming to us through DNREC, is primarily for public drainage improvement projects that are not tax ditches. A lot of our stormwater facilities don't necessarily qualify for that old 21st Century Fund because of the different priority or different parameters for that. The other hook with the 21st Century Fund is that is essentially a cost share where we have to put up matching funds in order to be able to utilize that 21st Century Fund. A lot of the communities, the 30 or so communities that we're working with that have not been able to join the district, one of the obstacles we've had to overcome is they don't have the funds in place for us to be able to match against either 21st Century Fund money or some of the money that's coming out of the Water Infrastructure Advisory Council. That funding also requires matches. As I understand it, we can spend this ARPA money without matching funds. And that's one of the reasons why we really wanted to focus on some of these disadvantaged communities that can't join the maintenance district as it stands now.
So that wouldn't be able to help ditches?
This money would not go towards tax ditches. Most of the financial assistance that goes towards the tax ditches comes through as a line item in both the state and the county budget.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Mr. Hertz.
Yeah, it's my understanding before these developments come into stormwater management, they have to make sure their ponds and drainage and stuff is up to a particular code. And you're stating that you're going to help some of these developments that don't have the funds through their HOA to fix these problems. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Then how is that fair to the developments up to this point that have paid out of their own pocket from their HOA, and now we're going to come in and help developments with ARPA money? This stormwater management is not an ARPA problem. It's not a problem that happened because COVID happened. So how is that going to be fair to the developments like the two that come tonight that paid out their own money through their HOA, and now we're going to go to the next development and say, hey, we got all this ARPA money, we're going to do your stuff for free, so you ain't got to pay nothing?
So I'm not in a position to answer what's fair or not fair. I certainly have my own personal opinions on that. The best way I can maybe answer the question is to describe a particular project that I have in mind, and that's one is the community of Versailles in the town of Camden. Stormwater pond is located in the middle of the community as you come in, and there's a corrugated metal pipe that runs out from the open space under a town street between two houses and actually under a shed. At the time that community was built about 25 years ago, using metal pipe was standard practice. We no longer use metal pipe because in our soils and our high groundwater, we found that those metal pipes rust out, and that's the case here. So they have about a 300-foot run of metal pipe that's rotted out in the bottom. No fault of the community. That was the standard at the time, but they do not have the financial wherewithal to replace that 300-foot of pipe. Community right next to them may not have that same situation, may have very simple problems that they could correct. So whether that's fair for one community to have a burden that was put on them by the original developer, I can't answer what's fair, but I can answer what we can spend the money on.
Well, I understand the pipe. I mean, I do that for a living, and we shouldn't. I understand the corrugated metal pipe. I replaced a lot of it. Replacing a pipe run because it's defective is one thing, but I'm talking about the general cleaning up of these ponds and stuff where they never maintained the ponds. We're making these other developments do it, and now all of a sudden we're going to just take a development like Versailles and do all their maintenance and pay for it, when we just had two developments tonight pay out of their own pocket. I mean, how do you justify that? And maybe that's not a question for you. Maybe that's a question to present with the Just Us commissioners, but it just doesn't seem fair. And this stormwater management, though important, because I do it every day, is not a COVID problem. It's not, it wasn't caused because COVID. Their pond didn't get clogged because of COVID. It got clogged because their HOA didn't take care of it. And that's what we have to look at that, I think.
Right. And like I said, there certainly are a variety of communities that we deal with. There are communities that certainly have more financial wherewithal than others. We certainly have some communities that have approached us about joining the maintenance district that quite honestly just do not have the financial wherewithal to make any repairs. And certainly applaud the two communities today that stepped up and put their efforts into it. My staff do try to work with these communities to come up with some low-cost options, to be able to get them through. We try to recommend contractors that we know that are good work, do good work. But at the end of the day, there are some communities that simply cannot afford the repairs.
Understood. Is there a process where, now that we have this, that we get with the developer and take over this stormwater management as soon as the development's done, so you're getting the stuff before it has a chance of becoming non-functional, so to speak?
And that honestly is the whole goal of the Stormwater Maintenance District. So any new subdivision that comes through this body, if there were new subdivisions that would have come through tonight, they would have automatically been enrolled in the Maintenance District. What we are dealing with is all the legacy subdivisions, and we have about 600 in the county that have been approved, starting back in the 60s and 70s and on forward. We're still trying to catch up all those old legacy projects and bring them up to current standards. So new subdivisions absolutely are coming in from day one, but it's all the older communities that we're struggling to find solutions for.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Jarrett? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Mr. Chair, we have comments from online.
Okay.
Karen Speakman, if you can give us your name and address for the record, and you can go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hi, I'm Karen Speakman. I live in Dover, but I'm also a resident, obviously, of Kent County. But I'm also the executive director of Neighborhood Partners, a nonprofit that works throughout the state in terms of affordable housing. So I did want to certainly applaud you for considering an additional $1 million for affordable housing that's vastly needed in this county. We are finding people that on a daily basis are calling us who cannot find a rental that they can afford or a house that they can buy. And as many of you know us, we are housing counselors and we work hard to provide the opportunity for families to know and learn how to buy a house and become mortgage eligible. But unfortunately, right now with the market the way it is, it's very hard to find affordable housing. But I can think of a number of ways that we and others could put the $1 million to use to develop affordable housing. And then the other thing I just wanted to also comment on, I also appreciate the nonprofit. Can you hear me? Is that the? Okay, sorry, I was hearing some like rumbling. So that the idea of using, I guess, already committed funds to the nonprofits, I appreciate that. I'm sure that there are a number of nonprofits that didn't fall into those buckets. But I will also comment that we did apply and have not heard whether we were approved or denied yet. So I don't know where that stands in terms of the nonprofit program for the $8 million, where I don't know if there's a number of us who haven't heard yet. It would just appreciate knowing when we'll hear. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online, Mark?
I see no more hands raised online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. The Administration Committee is adjourned. At this time, according to the agenda, we're scheduled to have a workshop immediately following for the sewer fund budget. Prior to coming into the meeting, I let Alan Coelho know that if meeting proceeded past 9:30, now it's 10:02. Do we want to start that, or Mr. Durham says that we'd be glad to put it off till next week where we have a lighter agenda? We've been here for a little over 3 hours now. How are your brains? Do you want to delve into the sewer budget, or do we want to delay it till next week? Are all of our players still here? I see Ms. Durham, I see Diana in the back. What's your pleasure, people? No, I don't. So Susan, if we don't do it till next week, we're okay as far as our time frame? Yes. We're good? And so it's up to you. What's your pleasure? Do you want to do that now for the next couple hours, or do you want to do it next week after we've, or maybe 3 hours? So, well, let's get a consensus. Who wants to call it quits for this evening, adjourn the meeting, go home, or who wants to stay another hour or two and do the budget? If you want to stay, let me see your hands. Boy, they throw them up, didn't they? So I guess I don't have to ask who don't want to stay.
Susan and Diana, when you talk about us behind our backs, be kind.
You know I am.
So we do have a small executive session, promised to take just a couple minutes by the county attorney. So we will adjourn to the executive session, and we will not be coming back, and we'll do the workshop next Tuesday. And thank you, folks, for coming. Thank you, everyone who stayed for that. And welcome. Please come back next week.